Hello, Hippie Homework. This last few days I've been listening to a Shaman Summit, and that really opens your thinking up into a lot of different areas, particularly around our connection to earth and the animals and plants, stones, crystals, and some of it is regarding climate change. But the interesting thing about shamanic practices is they're not very condemning of what we've done, but rather saying, well, it's taken lifetimes to get here and it will take lifetimes to fix what's occurring with climate. But what we can do is to start thinking a little bit more consciously about our behaviour. And some of that's regarding where do we source our food from, how are the plants or animals treated in that sourcing, and just being conscious of those little things, which is stuff that we're already starting to do, and I'm seeing, and I'm part of a self-sustaining Facebook group that I watch and keep an eye on and try and do my best. But there was another side of things too regarding by raising our vibrations, we also will help the planet to heal, and that's just as important, to have self-love and self-care and to spend time in becoming connected back to the earth. And one of the things that they had us do was to go out into a park or say your front yard and connect with a particular plant or object and see what message, what it might have for you. And interestingly, I went out into my front yard in a meditation sense and connected with the Manchurian pear in my house, and it said, well, I'm here to protect. And it was, how do you do that? Well, it protects by giving me shade, but also by being the biggest tree in my property that can look out and see the big picture. And so the gift of that plant to me is to give me the ability to look at the big picture and get a better idea of what's going on to make sure that everything is okay. So this week's Hippie Homework is kind of an interesting one. It's maybe, take a moment and go out into nature and find something to connect with and see what it can bring to you. But the other part of this was also, before we just go in and assume that we can do that and ask for the wisdom of these plants and animals, is to even just ask for respect to sit in their auras and to enjoy that, rather than just assuming that as sentient beings who have greater thinking in some instances, that we can just take what we want. So, even looking at things of how do we treat insects, how do we treat plants, are we conscious of that? Do we even thank the animals that we use when we eat them? That's something that I try and do, and I don't do very often, but if I am eating meat, then thanking the animal that supplied that. So this week's Hippie Homework is to connect with some element of nature or animals and show some gratitude and some appreciation for it, and maybe to even go and see if there's something that they can show and teach us. So a little bit different. That's what happens when I listen to shamanic things. So have a good week, and I hope you have some beautiful insights and messages, because mine was really lovely and I appreciated it, and it makes me really consider my nectarine tree out the front, and time for you to see what you can get as well. See you next week. Bye.